Oh boy. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, guys. Hey guys, my name's Nova, this is Film Express, and today we're going to be talking about the new James Gray movie, Armageddon Time. Armageddon Time is the fourth or fifth director biopic that we've gotten this year. It seems like something that James Gray really needed to get off his chest. You know, James Gray is really exploring a part of his childhood that seems very important to him. You know, a little bit of background about James Gray. He's almost a director that I'm very much on the fence of. He's got a couple of movies that I find fantastic, like The Lost City of Z. I personally kind of like Ad Astra more than most people, but then there's a lot of his other movies that I find are just not effective, and they take too long to get their points across, and they're almost very indulgent, melodramatic. Really, unfortunately, they're very Oscar baity, and in a sense, I don't think that I've rated many of his films too highly in general. They're always, hovering around a 5, a 6, a 7, and a lot of them have been even lower than that. I'm always curious to see what he does because clearly the Academy has a really big love for his movies. You know, when it comes to award season, he always gets some love in some way or another. You're seeing the trailer for Armageddon Time, you kind of get the sense that it's going to be a heavy film. It deals with a white Jewish kid growing up in the Reagan era who befriends a black kid from his school, and the racial tensions that come along with this as they're growing up and coming of age. Unfortunately, in every way, this is almost like White Guilt, the movie. It's really unfortunate that this character is the only black character in the film, and he's basically just used as a tool to make us feel bad for the white person. It almost uses him in very manipulative ways, and it comes off incredibly insensitive, and it feels very out of touch in many ways. It's almost borderline offensive. I have such a strong negative reaction to this movie, and the more I think about it, the more and more I dislike this film. I really thought this was going to go somewhere interesting, but it quickly shows its cards, and it basically has nothing new to say about the topic, and it treads the same waters as many films and stories that came beforehand, unfortunately. A movie like this really almost needs to swing for the fences, and this movie is bunting the whole way. Like, it does not even try to say anything grandiose. And for the whole journey, you're wondering where it's going to go. You're wondering if it's going to potentially hit you with that gut punch. And the gut punch comes as a very cheap blow, in my opinion. This film has one of the worst performances of the year with Jeremy Strong's character. He hams it up big time, and it was almost laughable. He gives his best Ray Romano impression, and it just, it's not the same actor that I've seen in Succession by any means. Like, he gives a Razzie-worthy performance, in my opinion. Also, there's a small cameo with Jessica Chastain in this film, and there's not one moment in her performance that I think she even believes what she's saying. It's very much like she showed up to read her lines, and it almost seems like she's reading off a teleprompter. It's a very bad performance from her, and it almost took me out. Because, if you know much about her politics, the character that she's playing is very much against all of her beliefs, so I could really get the sense that she was irked by playing this character. Armageddon Time is a melodramatic film. The main character, who's supposed to be James Gray as a young kid, he's basically a big old jerk. Like, he's a jerk of a child. He's kind of lacks any sense of the world around him, which, is fair, most kids do. But he's very unlikable in so many ways and unrelatable. Like, he's got a very nice life, and he keeps acting like a entitled jerk. Honestly, he's a jerk, and I couldn't get behind him. It almost makes me think of The Fabelmans this year. The Fabelmans plays it super sweet, but it has this angel of a character in Sammy Fabelman, Steven Spielberg's character. It's unrelatable because the guy is so privileged, and he keeps falling ass backwards into the best camera gear of the time, and he gets opportunities handed to him for absolutely no reason. It becomes a very infuriating film in every sense, because it's also written by like 65-year-olds trying to tackle teenage kid dialogue. Armageddon Time, on the other hand, is overly melodramatic, and the character is such a jerk and very unrelatable in that sense. He's supposed to be like our eyes and our window to this world in this movie. He paints the world with so much bias and such a weirdly off-tone racist perspective that you almost don't even feel bad for him, or you don't feel bad for any of the events that happen in this film. Really, this film just tries to bite off way more than it can chew, and it fails in almost every aspect. It's easily one of the worst films I've seen this year. It fails to do anything interesting with the themes. It's really pathetic in execution, and I'd be very surprised if this film gets any awards love this year, because you know what? I don't think it is deserving of anything other than a few Razzies, especially for the screenplay. A screenplay like this should not be greenlit in Hollywood, especially in these times where woke culture is very strong and everyone is really aware of how to portray races in a very fair way. to use the one black character in this film in such a way that you're only using him as a tool to make us feel bad for this white character and what's happening to him. You basically see him feel guilty for treating this black kid like crap. And to me, like, you just want to smack him against the head, you know? He's got so much to learn, and it's just really unfortunate to watch it all unfold. And then maybe that is the effect, but in a sense, you know, I wish I could feel bad for them instead of just thinking they're idiots, you know? And I know all of this seems really harsh, but a film like this should just not have been made, or it should have been made with a way more sensitive approach that has stronger things to say. And it probably should not have been made by James Gray. He should have probably collaborated with somebody else on the writing side just to bring more of that minority perspective, because I'm sure if any person in any minority demographic reads this script on surface level, they would think it's super offensive. So I had a really negative reaction to it myself. I'm an Iranian guy. I grew up in Montreal, and I grew up around so many white people. All my friends were white kids, and some of their parents just didn't like me just for the sake of my skin color. You know, obviously it's not the same as growing up black in the Reagan era. I'm not going to compare it by any means to that, but I've dealt with this to some extent. So for us to try to feel bad for characters that don't treat others like human beings is pathetic in every sense of the regard to me. I don't think it's worthy of a screenplay and a film of this budget and of this nature to be made. You know, in my opinion, they could have skipped this. And James Gray is a really capable director. He just does not seem to be able to pick stories that are focused and that tell their themes in a very strong way. So I'm really disappointed with this film. And overall, it's one of the worst films I've seen this year. You know, it's in my list of really bad films of 2022, which holds around 50 films this year. So that says a lot about the quality of films this year. And I think Tarantino is right to say that this is the worst film era that we've had in a very, very long time. So guys, I'm very disappointed to say that Armageddon Time is an absolute misfire and a really, really bad film by any means. I was very disappointed with my viewing experience of this film. I just hope that the last month of 2022 brings us some gems, because this year is looking very, very sad for movies and scripts in general. So guys, thanks for listening. My name's Nova from Film Express. I really hate doing these really, really bad reviews where I almost just crap on a movie, but sometimes it has to be done. These films should not be getting released anyway, in my opinion. So please like, please dislike if you disagree with me. Please subscribe if you want to hear more of my thoughts. And please write some comments. You know, we can always have an active discussion about these types of movies. If you think I'm wrong, I'm always happy to hear it. Happy to discuss why. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.